You are such a fan favorite. People are very upset that you are out.
Yeah, I'm upset too, so I get it.
Fair. Well, you came out of the gate really strong in that first episode, and
Mhm.
we heard you say that you wanted to align with someone who maybe wasn't the smartest,
Mhm.
but then it kind of seemed like Allie maybe was fairly smart. Did your strategy have to evolve?
Um, so that comment had nothing to do with Allie or that game. That was, my general big picture game strategy. I wanted somebody smart for that challenge because I needed them to pull their weight in tags. Um, but Allie and I didn't get along after that episode at all. So she was kind of never in the running for somebody I could have an alliance with. I was, for a couple of episodes kind of on the hunt for a dummy that I could, have an alliance with. But unfortunately everybody had strengths or an alliance already. And so then I just kind of resolved to play it by myself.
Okay, so relationship wise, then, because I think we were assuming you were working with Allie, were
Mhm.
you not really? You were kind of doing a lone wolf-ish solo
It,
game?
I think it's kind of starting end of episode two, beginning of episode three. I was getting really close to Biggie, and I knew Shane, came before me in the fact that they had that strong alliance. But like he and I would bounce information off of each other quite a bit, and would kind of discuss the clues and stuff like that quite a bit. So I was really close to him. I also talked to Kim a lot. Like we weren't
Mhm.
in any sort of official alliance, but just like the three of us always were shooting the shit at the back of the
Mhm.
bus. And so like the game would come up and we would talk about it in that sense, but there was nothing like official or like, oh, let's split up so you can get this information. Like there was none of that kind of, it was just kind of like more casual.
Mhm.
But I'd say big picture, I was pretty much playing alone.
When Peter and Janae come on the bus, it seemed like that really shook up the energy. How was the vibe afterwards?
Bad. It was very, very negative. I think we were, and I think rightfully, like, didn't find it fair that they got to skip three eliminations. So it was kind of like, are you serious? Also at this point, we've been filming for like 2 weeks, and we had, just finally got three people off, and it was like that took forever, and now we're back at nine people. Like it was so upsetting in the sense that you'd gone through all this anxiety to be in the map room, and it was kind of like all for nothing almost because you're in the exact same spot. So it was a big bummer in that sense. And then things just kind of immediately got really tense. Like Peter almost immediately outs Ty as being a liar, and so then it's just like everything is just kind of shaken up. And so the energy shifted for sure when they got on the bus in a very negative way.
You mentioned in this last episode the social part of the game maybe wasn't, you weren't loving that part of it. What did you mean by that?
I felt as though had we somehow been required to not speak to each other at all, and then just taken a quiz at the end of every episode, I would have been top two easily.
Right.
But it was the social game that was, you know, Peter never knew where we were, Janae never knew where we were, Shane never knew where we were. The only reason that they were kind of going along was because they had positioned themselves in really strong alliances and played a really strong social game. And I knew I didn't really have the social game. I just had the knowledge aspect of it. So it's selfish in that sense, where it's like I knew I could win if it was only this. But obviously the social game is part of it, so that doesn't really make sense. But I didn't like it in that sense because I felt like the point of the game was to know things, and I felt like I knew things, but that was not. Other people were still getting to be successful.
Yeah. I mean, it was like episode two or three where I was like, wait a minute, there are people who are legitimately not getting clues, like
Mm-hmm.
people left in the dark, but if they have the relationships, they're going to be okay. That really
Mm-hmm.
does change the game.
Yes, yeah, it changes the game, but also like you can generally know where you are just tracking the sun, and so clues are not like you can pretty much
Mm.
figure out what country you're in, and then there's always some sort of clue. Like even if you don't have the big clue, like there's stuff around. And so like to me it was like just open your eyes. Like you can figure this out if we weren't allowed to talk to each other. Like don't let us talk to each other. That'd be so much better.
So
Um,
you thought like it was kind of easy, like clue-wise, kind of easy?
yeah. Starting so I was really, really overthinking it in Rome, right? So I watched the other versions of the show beforehand, and those versions were way, way, way trickier.
Mm.
And so I came into this show being like, I can't trust anything. Like everything's going to be really complicated. And once I kind of realized that Geneva was a clue for Geneva, I was like, oh, like this is like kind of right in your face
Hmm.
information. And so I tried to stop overthinking everything. And it's like, if I could associate something with something else, then I was like, okay, that's where we are. And then the next several episodes was like, got it, got it, got it, got it. This is easy.
Peter and Rick, it looks like, are pretty under the radar. Did you have any idea that they were so closely working together?
For sure. I think most people knew they were. I mean, there's no room on the bus, right? And so
Mm.
like if you call somebody to back to talk to them, you know they're not just chit chat and being casual because then you wouldn't need to separate yourself. So and that was really difficult, I think, in general for alliances because there was no private space. Like it was always obvious if you were talking to somebody alone. And so I certainly knew that they were working together. And I think most people I thought most people knew. I mean, Biggie talks about how he had no idea and he assumed, Peter was going to go Switzerland kind of thing, which is like, were you not on the bus? Could you not see them in the back of the bus constantly talking to each other? I thought it was obvious. I know several people thought it was obvious, but maybe some people just thought they were buddies.
Okay, so if you were clued in that they were working together, did you feel like Peter would know where he is in the map room?
So I knew Peter had no idea on his own where we were, but I pretty much knew Rick was going to tell him and then assumed that Peter would then tell Janae. And this is probably stupid kind of looking back, but I really didn't think Biggie was going to tell Shane. I knew that they
Mm.
had an alliance, but at that point, Biggie and I were really, really, really close. And I thought it was obvious that me, Peter, and Janae were all going to be putting the same location. So Shane, we would have to rely on him going somewhere else. And I knew he was thinking Vienna. And so I really didn't think Biggie was going to tell him. And I mean, I should have known that he was gonna pick his boy at the last second. But yeah, I really didn't. I really thought it was gonna be Shane, who was gonna be left out of all of that.
Okay, so you really did feel comfortable enough in your relationship with Biggie. Like we see you sharing information. Was that already a regular part? You were used to sharing information with him, so this wasn't like out of the blue.
No, yeah, which is Biggie and I have joked that like it's crazy how the show's portraying us because prior to this episode, I don't think we'd said a word to each other on the bus, but like Biggie and I, like we were best friends on the bus. Like we talked for hours every day on the bus. We were constantly, sharing information back and forth with each other. I think we both trusted each other quite a bit. And like I knew he was to be trusted because he told me things that proved to be correct. And same, back to him. We didn't have an official alliance kind of thing, but like there definitely was an understanding that like we could trust each other and that we were going to be sharing things with each other.
So the thought, because I was like, what if you hadn't told Biggie yet? Like, wait till you know who is going in the map room. Biggie was safe.
Yeah, that's where I'm
So,
at.
well, would that even cross your mind though? If you're so used to sharing with him, would you like hold information and just wait to see if he was safe?
I never had. Like we had always just kind of always like as it comes up, just kind of been thinking about like, oh, here's the information I have, here's what I think, what about you? So it was like kind of always this collaborative thing. Um, but I definitely should have been smarter about that and like because there was no need for me to tell him, right? Because he wasn't in the map room. And I think he was thinking Vienna. I think he like kind of was torn between the two, but I think he was mostly thinking Vienna. And had he been in the map room for sure, I would have told him. But like since he wasn't, like I should have just waited to the last minute to see for sure. And I think that's where I obviously messed up the most because there was no need for me to do it.
Oh, such a bummer.
No,
I mean, I'm glad that he's beating himself up right now.
same. I
Uh,
was really happy to see that. Yeah.
I mean, I assume no one guessed that there was going to be this tiebreaker question. You obviously hadn't researched that castle, who has nobody.
No.
So this is a tough way to go out. How do you feel about Peter picking you over, the emotional choice of Shane.
I'm honored. Like I came onto the show saying I was here for ego reasons, and I don't think there's a way to exit that better serves the ego other than winning the entire show. So second to that, I think this was the best possible way to go out because I didn't get anything wrong. I was handpicked as a threat. And while I wish it hadn't happened, I wish he'd made the emotional decision. It was like definitely a compliment. And like again, like the easiest for me to like be happy with my exit going out that way rather than just like getting something wrong.
It looks like you and Allie are pretty close now, but you weren't on the bus. When did this happen? Was it post show or eventually on the
Yeah,
bus?
it's funny, we did not get along at all on the bus, like actively didn't like each other. And then we got back and realized we lived 8 minutes away from each other, which was kind of crazy. And so, we both went through this crazy, wild experience that really nobody else can relate to. And so, we just kind of started hanging out and talking about it. And then realized we had a lot in common. And so then we, traveled a few times together. We're just hanging out and we're like, oh, like, turns out like you are really cool. And like, I do really like you as a person, like wildly misjudged you on the bus. Yeah, now we live together. Like I would have never guessed any of that from the bus.
What is it like living on a bus with, sensory deprivation?
I loved it. I like I thought it was so much I I knew obviously it was temporary and the longest it could go was for like a month-ish. Um and so I think I really just like appreciated all of it and how difficult it was and like the even the annoying things of like oh I'm hungry now but like I have to wait until it's time for production to feed us like just kind of that stuff I loved the experience of it. Like I loved it being so unique. I loved that it could be replicated. I didn't find it difficult at all. Like I loved sleeping. That was such the beds were so comfortable, like unbelievably comfortable. I got incredible sleep. And I just loved hanging out on the bus every day. Like you had nothing to do. We had no phones, no jobs. Like all you could do was just hang out and have a good time and think about some clues. And like that's like my ideal life.
What are you up to now? Are you back to lawyering? What are you doing now?
Um, Kind of back to lawyering. I have a weird job in that we have like a really busy season and then we have like a year and a half where it's big time chill. And so I'm in the big time chill section. So not doing too much lawyering, mostly just kind of hanging out, traveling a little bit. We're trying to go see each person as they have been eliminated. So Allie and I, and so we just got back from Hawaii. Who knows where we'll go next? But that's been kind of fun. So each week we kind of go somewhere new for a couple of days, which is nice.
That's awesome. Well, it was so lovely to talk to you. Really enjoyed watching you. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Of course.